Sandra, I see that you joined, but I don't see how you also come up on the video. Oh, yay!
It worked.
Yay! Can you see me? I can see
Yeah.
you. Okay, awesome. Cool. Let me see if there's anything else that we should set up. No, so commenting's on. I mean, I guess
That's great.
I think we'll see things at the bottom. Hi, I see people are joining us.
Hi, thank you. So maybe we'll just wait like a
Sure,
minute
we'll give it a
and
minute.
then we can get started.
Sounds good. Is my head cut off too? It's interesting, like when we're in our smaller boxes.
No, is my head cut off?
No, your head's filling the frame, but for some reason my flame it's hi. I'm gonna click this little wave button because I have no idea what that does. I just waved. That's so cute.
Can you see people like who are joining?
Yeah, are you seeing that at the bottom too or no?
No, I'm not.
Hmm,
That's okay.
that's okay. I see. Oh, I see some people joining that I invited. Hello, welcome, welcome. We're gonna wait just a couple of minutes, or maybe a minute, while people arrive.
I'm excited. How are you feeling?
I'm excited too. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Me too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wish you could see these too. It's so fun because there's a little wave button that I get to wave at people.
Oh yeah. Okay, wait, I see it now.
Yeah, is it coming up at the bottom?
Yeah.
It's awesome. As
Yeah.
everyone
Okay.
can tell,
Well,
this is
we're figuring it
we're
out.
figuring it out. Thank you for being with us and figuring things out with us.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Um,
having more people joining. So, yeah, I think we could probably just go ahead and get started because I'm sure people are going to like join and leave as they need to. Um, oh, hi. Oh, that touches my heart. I'm seeing a lot of my friends here, and that makes me feel so warm. So, and then also I think people maybe I don't know, or they have Instagram
yeah.
handles that I don't know about. So, yeah. Yeah. So I said, I mean, should we just go ahead
Yeah,
and good morning.
let's do it.
Let's just get into it. Yeah. Our hope is, I will just also say, our hope is that this will be recorded. So for anyone who might be watching this later, fingers crossed that I figure out the tech piece later. But hello, welcome, welcome. I think we're just going to start with some quick introductions of ourselves, just some disclaimers, our intentions, and kind of, I'll go quickly kind of through our agenda. Our hope really today is to just give like an overview of this model, IFS, internal family systems, that we're really passionate about. And, with our love for it, hopefully it also resonates in such a way that you might find ways it's helpful for you. Oh, thanks for the hearts. So yeah, we'll just start with some introductions. We'll go through the model a little bit. We'll do a little bit of kind of some interactive stuff. We'll talk about like how parts show up, and we want to get some, feedback. If it's resonant for you, it's resonant for your parts. And we're going to do some experiential work, just like really short, kind of checking with your parts, a little guided meditation. And then we'll also answer some questions. If you have them, put them in the comments, and I'll try my best to see them and figure it out. And then some resources. So that's kind of what we have for today. Sandra, if you want to start just with an introduction of who you are, a little bit about how you came to this model, and then I'll just do a quick overview as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. Hi everyone, I'm Sandra Sharrock. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist in Los Angeles. I have a private practice and I'm trained in the level one IFS model. And well, my intention for today is to really just introduce this idea of parts language. I work with a lot of people who are in substance use recovery. I'm in long-term addiction recovery myself, and that's really how I found out about the model. I feel like it really offers a non-shaming, non-pathologizing view of substance use and so much more. But I really like this idea of parts, right? There's a part of me who is angry, not all of me. And so my intention is, if nothing else is heard or even taken away today, just that idea of like there are parts us, and how do we seek to witness and understand and get to know those parts, and and really that's been so powerful for myself and my clients. um,
Yeah.
so that's a little bit about me.
Thank you so much, Sandra. Yeah, Sandra and I connected around this passion, and I am an associate marriage and family therapist. I'm under the supervision of Sharon Yu, and I am IFS informed through the IFS Institute. Before becoming a marriage and family therapist, I was a clinical hypnotherapist. And so when I discovered this model, the resonance for me was so clear, so quick, because I realized so much of the work I was doing as a hypnotherapist was so closely aligned to this. Like I already understood parts language. And so now I just have done the deep dive. Anyone who is in my life personally and also professionally knows like it is a special interest of mine. So similar to Sandra, my intention as well is like just make something very accessible. Like if there is just one takeaway, I would say maybe even to add on the flip side of things is this parts language is also this sense that there's a you beyond your parts, and that also exists. And so I think that'll take us right into maybe doing a bit of more of an overview of what this model is. So Sandra, if you want to start, and then I'll kind of like maybe fill in some gaps as far as like my understanding of it or how, yeah, how I approach this work.
Yeah, I would, and also everyone who's like watching us, feel free to pop in the comment section. I can see the comments, so if any questions, we can also answer those as
Oh,
well.
and
Um,
I want to do a quick disclaimer. I forgot. We should do a quick disclaimer.
yes. Oh,
Yes,
yes.
we are both therapists. This is not therapy. I mean, and I know it sounds silly that, we say this, but it can get muddy, it can get confusing because, we are sharing something that comes from the world of therapy. We are sharing something that we do with clients. And again, so our hope is this can inspire you. And when we share these resources at the end, to go and take this work deeper. But anytime you're engaging in social media or with us or really anyone, it's not. It's this doesn't replace therapy, right? And so we just want to make sure that disclaimer is clear as well. Sorry.
Yeah. And no, thank you. I totally forgot to say those things, and that's
Yeah.
important that we are sharing something therapeutic, but this is not therapy. So I think it would be really helpful, yeah, to just kind of start this off by sharing what is IFS and kind of its like simplest form. Obviously, we're here for 30 minutes. We're not going to go super in depth, but IFS is essentially this idea that the mind is made up with subpersonalities or parts. So this is something that we're all born with. We are all born with parts. They emerge naturally over time. So parts can show up as thoughts, point of views, memories, roles, emotions, dreams. Um, it's really important to understand that parts do not have bad intentions. Parts actually really have good intentions around why they're showing up in our lives. And a lot of the work is getting to know our parts, getting to know our own internal family system. The creator, Dr. Richard Schwartz, was a family therapist. So this is a systems therapy and really getting to know our own inner system. Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
what I'm thinking.
Yeah. That's exactly like. I think the best way to just introduce like the idea, like you're saying, Sandra, that we're born with this, because I think this is how one way this differs from maybe other ways of thinking about ourselves or ways that people may have heard of like parts before, is it some kind of like split or fragmentation, that it's like, oh well, at some point let me do some healing and like become whole again. And I think that when we shift away from this idea that this is a bad thing that has happened to you, but rather you're born with these parts and they have these qualities and these skills and these passions. But just at some point, I like to say either life happens or trauma happens or both. Then these parts just start to change their jobs, and they either change what they're doing within you, your system, how they show up in you through the world, and they're doing either more intensely or something different. They're trying to protect you, right? They're trying to protect something, some vulnerability that starts to feel unsafe to experience. So, yeah, I think that idea that like there's that positive intention, that there's no they're not, we're not here to get rid of them, right? We're not, this model is not about integration per se. It is a sense of wholeness, but it's that wholeness, like you said, Sandra, it's by getting to know your parts, to really kind of, just like with a family, you just start to both accept them but also help them,
Yeah.
right? Lead them. Yeah.
And I love what you're sharing about kind of these parts that get forced into extreme roles because of trauma or attachment injury. So again, kind of going back to your what you were saying about they have such good intentions, all of our parts. Dr. Richard Schwartz wrote a book, No Bad Parts, and I honestly believe that we as humans do not have any bad parts. It's really like once we understand a part, once we're working with a part and really get to hear why it's there, what its job, what its role is, what it's doing for even me or my clients, it's amazing to hear the role that they've taken on and the good intention behind the role.
Yeah.
Sometimes that role just gets really extreme, right? Like
Yeah.
anger is not bad. Angry parts are not bad. Anger can be really
Yes.
extreme, right? And I really want to know, like, how did we get to that place?
And what does it mean? Like, what is it really trying to do? Yeah, I love that you name already kind of an example. I think that this segs us into kind of this next section of we would love for anyone who's here live, and of course, if I can get this recorded and you see it later, but we're going to just name kind of some ways that parts end up showing up, you know, and so kind of make it more tangible because right now it's kind of like, you know, what does this really mean? So I'm going to go through and I'm going to name some of these extremes, right? And if this resonates, you can either like type in the comment, you know, an emoji or yes, or heart that so that we know that it's something that, you know, your parts are being seen right now. If you have a part that judges yourself, then and I'm gonna just these all come from me, by the way. So when I'm saying this, I'm not like I'm saying these are my parts. I'm gonna just like basically introduce you to some of my parts. If you have a part then actually is looking out and is judging others. And yeah, it starts to have like feelings about that. Yeah, I see 100% exactly. Comparing, right? So you, and so sometimes that judgment comes into it as well, but sometimes it's just even the comparing of like you're looking at someone else's lives. And of course, we're on social media. So these parts get very activated, but that comparing part that's like, I'm here, they're there in their life. I should be here and they're there. If only I were there, right? Over analyzing. So, you know, I'm actually I also like to make it really clear that I love thinking parts. I love logical parts. Like, you know, we're here to like we have brains. Like we're not here to just be like feeling and being. We should use our brains. We should be logical and thinking. But I think going back to the extremes of these jobs, right? So the over analyzing, like then you think about it again, and think about it from this side, and this part thinks that it needs to figure it out. It's a figuring out part, and it's trying to help you in that way, but it's missing so much, right? In that. Um, how
I see
about
people, I see people resonating.
yeah, 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 totally. I this has actually been very present for me, which is a little bit different from you. Like if anyone has isolating parts, and what that means is um oh you know it's like I don't want to be a burden, or you know my friends kind of perceive me a certain way, and if I come to them because I'm in this whatever, I'm carrying heaviness, or I can figure it out by myself, and you start to isolate. So you have parts that are like using that kind of strategy to again thinks it needs to take care of you, and it's protecting you probably from some vulnerable part. um, Sandra, this one I added as well because, and you and I, you've just shared and talked about this, but also addictions. We talk about extremes. And if you want to talk for a second about that as well, like addictions and how even those parts that engage in that strategy have a positive intention.
I know. It's I love my addiction parts. I love my clients' parts who are like reacting to something in this way, who have found a way of coping with immense pain,
Yeah.
um, or not even immense pain, but with life, right? Life can be difficult.
Yeah.
And so they have found ways, right? These parts have found ways to react to that difficulty, to react to that pain, to protect from those more vulnerable emotions, whether it's shame, guilt, childhood trauma, abuse. you know, addiction, whether that's sex, shopping, gambling, drugs, alcohol, that is protection
Yes.
to the system,
Yeah.
right? In an extreme form, but that part is saying we will do anything, we will do anything to extinguish your pain.
Yeah. That's
And
right. Right.
so if it's the drugs or the alcohol or whatever, that's the thing. And I have so much respect for that.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And love for, yeah, if you think about that, like even the way you just said that, I will do anything for you. I will take care of you. Like think about the caretaking in that, right? That actually brings me to some of us have caretaking parts, which again, inherently it's part of our, system when we're born. And even that can be an extreme. So, and this is one that is very resonant for me. I have people in my life know this. I have caretaking parts that like will like if I don't lean in, if I don't show up, if I don't serve in a certain way, then it either means something about me and it protects me from the vulnerability of feeling either that um, guilt or shame or sense of identity. It's protecting me from something, and so it pushes me harder, take care harder, do better,
Yeah.
be kind, to be more loving. And so it sounds crazy. You're like, well, shouldn't you? Like, isn't that a great value? It's the extreme. Like that's like what I keep coming back to. It's like these parts are great. They just have extreme ways
Yeah.
of trying to think they need to take care of everything or protect us from something. Um,
I love
yeah,
that.
yeah,
I love
yeah,
how you said that, like the pushing me harder, like, and also I think you bring up a really good point about like society, right? Like the societal um burdens that parts carry too, like from our life, and then also the messaging we get from society as well.
yes.
And I think one of the reasons I really enjoyed connecting with you is because your um advocacy around like neurodiverse affirming care and the masking that happens a lot of the times, and um maybe you could talk a little bit more about that too.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up. Like two pieces there because the societal piece is that some of these strategies, like we're like saying they're extreme, they're not helpful in some way. For a lot of us, we're getting that feedback. Oh no, no, keep doing that. Like it sure is helpful for me for you to be a caretaker or mask or judge yourself or overanalyze things, right? But yeah, the masking, it's interesting because you think about again, what are we, these parts are protecting us. Well, as a neurodivergent individual, and if you're moving through your life in an ableist society, it literally does not feel safe in your body. And so this part that masks, it's the strategy, and it can take to the extreme of like where you feel like I'm a whole different person in different environments and different with different people. And this part says because you have to be. And here's the thing is that I also like to offer to these parts, sometimes they're also right. Like this inner work is not all of a sudden changing, this societal issues that we have. But what can shift is your relationship to understand that's what that part's doing and to actually give it so much compassion and to actually step in and say, you know what, I'm going to use your skill of being able to show up and code switch here because you're right. If I don't, I'm probably going to get fired from this job or rejected from this community. And that sucks. And I'm going to tend to the grief. There's a part that's grieving it too, right? But the process changes. It doesn't become so compulsive and you're not unaware of really what's happening. Because then when that part is seen, well, at least it's seen by you. And then you can start to open yourself up and of course find communities where you are affirmed. Like that's the ideal, right? We're moving to that. So
Yeah, I love that. I being seen, right? Being seen, all of your parts being seen through that journey of masking and the grief, right? But also the like, well, let me just do it because I don't want to lose this job. And IFS really offers that space for all parts to be seen with compassion, without judgment.
yeah,
Be here now, right?
yeah, yeah.
So
You started to like this with compassion without judgment. So I want to seg to our next little section. When you talked about the overview of IFS and talked about this, we were all born with these parts. I want to talk as well about being born with this kind of you beyond the parts. So if you want to speak a little bit to kind of your understanding of what that looks and feels like.
yeah, I think there's this idea of like who we are most at our core, which is present at birth. and kind of like who we are most at our core, leading our inner system. Like, so that is kind of our leader. And when I was in my level one IFS training, I really liked this analogy of like the orchestra. So the conductor, right, is leading this orchestra of musicians and just kind of guiding them through this musical process. And what happens when the conductor walks away, right? And it's the orchestra. And we can kind of look at the orchestra as our parts, right? There's no conductor leading us. So, you know, maybe there's musicians talking over one another. Maybe they're like not agreeing on things. And then the conductor comes back and there's harmony and balance within the orchestra again. And that's kind of how I view this idea of like who we are at our core. These parts are all part of us. We're not trying to get rid of those parts so that it's just our our core, right? It's our core with these parts. Our core self is leading these parts into harmony and balance. Like, hey, we're safe now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did that make
That's
sense?
so that makes so much sense, and that's so resonant. I even want to like build on that. Is that I think it's an important piece too. It's like that we talked about like the conductor, like like walks away. And I think what's also important is that this you that's beyond parts. Typically, this you that's beyond parts. It's not like that conductor's walked away. It's almost like some emergency, right? Like fire in the other room has pulled the conductor away, and that's why we say it's either like life has happened, some invalidating like whatever experiences, trauma. And so something has happened where that access to or sense of, but that conductor is still always there. It may be like, in the other room and so much of this work as well, in addition to getting to know your parts, is actually also reconnecting to this conductor. And one of the ways that we do that is that it just comes through in qualities. So some of the qualities, like they in IFS, they're called the 8 C's. Let's see if I can remember them. So it's calm, curiosity, connection, creativity, confidence, clarity, courage,
Connectedness.
connectedness. I think I said that. And the
Oh,
eighth C. If anyone who's watching this now wants to put that in, you're welcome to put it in because I think I missed one. But you get the sense of this is something that we all have access to. Like when you think about that, you all have moments of just creative beyond the rigid, I'm an artist kind of thing, but creativity that flows into you. That's coming from this you that's beyond the parts. And so, what we would like to do now, if that's okay, is maybe a little experiential guided process. Compassion. Oh my God, the biggest one. Thank you. Yeah, did I
yes.
not say that? Oh, I'm so glad you wrote that. That's probably the
It
biggest
is.
first and foremost. But you know what? I will say that is a big one. And I will also state that sometimes that's one of the hardest ones to access towards our parts, especially when they're in these extreme roles. And I will say, at least for myself, and also when, again, working with a lot of neurodivergent clients, curiosity. I have ADHD, so specifically, I'm just insanely curious about the world. But sometimes it's easier to start with curiosity if you can't access compassion. You're like, you know what? I don't feel compassion yet, but I am wondering without judgment about what's happening. What's happening here? Why is this part showing up? So let's, for whoever is here and open and available and ready for it, maybe do just a few minutes of connection.
Yeah.
If that sounds
Love
good,
that.
maybe throw some hearts in there if you're open to it, just to kind of setting that intention and readiness. And so wherever you are right now, just find yourself a comfortable seat or lie down. Really, it's whatever your body needs. And for some, stillness is hard, and really most of us are never completely still. If you stim, if a little bit of rocking feels good for you, you can move your body. I like to put a hand on my heart and a hand on my belly. And I actually like a little pressure. That's me, that's my system. It's an invitation, and this is all an invitation. If you're like, my system hates that, then let it go. Some people like to close their eyes, and for others, that doesn't feel so good. So, really letting even this initial getting settled be a moment of discovering for yourself what you need in this moment. And just even starting maybe with that sea of curiosity. You know, what's here? What's here in your body? Maybe even thinking to yourself, who's here? Right? Do you have parts that are really saying, whoa, 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 she's seeing me? Or parts that are like distracted or saying, what time is it? Or parts that are like, I'm hungry and getting your attention through your body. My message to those parts are all are welcome. All are welcome. You don't need to try to do anything with them, force them to do anything differently. If it feels good now, I invite you to take a deep breath with the intention that you are bringing a sense of calm to any parts that are open to receive it, with the acceptance that maybe not all of your parts are. Maybe they don't want that right now. Never forcing, always open, always an invitation. So I'll just guide you through a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth, starting with a nice deep inhale and release. Taking a moment to notice. Did that bring a sense of calm to any of your parts? We're going to do that two more times. This is so simple, but intentional. So again, just kind of sending out invitation first, intention first, with acceptance as well that there may be parts even in your body, sensations that are not open to receive, and that's okay. So taking a second deep inhale and release. For this third breath, I invite you now, even as you have noticed maybe parts shifting, moving, maybe some have accepted or received some of this calm, and actually now kind of move your body maybe in such a way that allows that to settle more. Notice if you have had a sense of stillness that feels stiff, and just let that go. Let that go as well, that you can move. And now just bringing that intention and invitation one more time, third and final breath. With a nice deep inhale and release. And then taking just a moment to check in. Notice. Notice whatever you notice. See if you're able to some way accept what's here, who's here. And then finally, just sending out a message to your parts. If any of them need you today in some way, if this feels true, if you feel open to it, that they can get your attention and you can get to know them a little bit better. And you can just let that go gently and easily. I like to bring some sensation to my legs, my thighs, bringing yourself back in your body, bringing yourself back into the space, noticing light. I always notice if I've had my eyes closed, I open them, I'm like, light comes in. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful.
You're so welcome. Well, we're just coming down to the last few minutes. Thank you for the hearts. I see some hearts. I hope that was resonant. We want to just wrap up and with two things. First, offer that if you do think of questions, I know this was very much just like opening the door to what this is all about. But if you find yourself with questions later, please let us know. Please, you can put in the comments later. Again, hopefully this will be posted on our pages later that you can really go back. You can watch that meditation. But Sandra, do you want to share maybe some of your favorite resources for, how people can continue to engage with this if it's something that really, yeah, like kind of struck some curiosity within them?
Yeah, I think I during my training it was, kind of what was said as like the best way to get to know IFS is to experience it. So if you're wanting to experience IFS, the IFS website is such a great resource to find practitioners or therapists or just learn more about it. I also know you mentioned Psychology Today. That's
Yeah.
another area.
Yeah, for people who are new to maybe even finding a therapist, there are several directories. Psychology Today is just one of them. Therapy Den, inclusive therapists. But you can search and put in internal family systems. So this is what we've been talking about. This at least gives you the language when you're looking for that.
Um, and then some really good books that I've resonated with are No Bad Parts and You Are the One You've Been Waiting For by Richard Schwartz. And then recently, Glennon Doyle did a podcast with Richard Schwartz, and she kind of goes through an IFS session with him, and I think it's called We Can Do Hard Things. So I think that that would be a really great resource. And I know you were telling me about the live IFS, which I hadn't heard
Yeah.
of.
Yeah, so I've got just a couple of resources that I've loved is there's another book called The Tender Parts. That's by Elise Kennedy, and it just really goes through, um, both. It's kind of a memoir slash book about IFS, and I just love it because it's so tangible. She speaks to, and she's also a therapist, and she's like, "This is how my parts show up." So I think it just really humanizes. Like, Sandra and I are not here in front of you like, "Wow, it's because we're so like." Always like in this like compassionate open zen energy, like we have parts. This is why this resonates. Our parts take over, we get to nurture them. And so yeah, and then the last one is that podcast live IFS. If you're totally new to this, I would recommend definitely start with the earlier ones, but it's basically an IFS practitioner going through IFS with callers, and it's fascinating. It's you'll start to tune in and hear like, whoa, no, I heard that part, and I can hear how the person is changing the way they're interacting with it and what they're learning from their part. And so that can be helpful if you're like, this still feels vague. What actually does that feel and look like? And then, yeah, you might just find yourself like really, really pulled toward this as well. So, yeah, we're at the 11:01. That's it for us
Yeah.
today.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. I'm so happy we did this and figured it out. And this
Yeah,
is great.
this was so great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who took the time to come, like, show up live. It means so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Truly, truly. And then anyone who wasn't able to make it live and is watching this later, I hope that, yeah, that you get something help from this. And we would love to hear what has been helpful, what more you'd like to know. So please do stay in contact with us. And we're just, yeah, sending you so much love. Have a great day.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.